Hotel McCurdy was opened in 1917 to serve as a convention headquarters for the newly opened Evansville Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Coliseum. The hotel was used for many events, and many well-known guests stayed at the hotel during their visits to Evansville. The hotel featured many modern amenities like circulating distilled ice water for drinking. I talked to Tom Longburn, the curator of history at the Evansville Museum of Arts, History, and Science, to get more information on Hotel McCurdy.
It was completed in 1917. Construction on it would have started as early as 1950. This is actually the site of the hotel prior to the McCurdy, the St. George Hotel. The St. George was built in 1874 and was itself the most elegant hotel in Evansville when it was constructed. The site of many social functions, very important to the people of Evansville. When the Van Orman brothers bought the St. George in the early 1900s, the idea was that they would build a more modern hotel with all the new conveniences with it in the decade that came. And so in 1915, the St. George was torn down after they had a big farewell ball. And then by 1917, McCurdy opened.
Hotel McCurdy was named after William H. McCurdy,
industrialist in Evansville. He had been involved or been in business in Evansville for a number of years. He had founded Hercules Buggy Company here in the early 1900s, and his name and the force that he could put behind a project were certainly those that were developed and wanted to put behind it. The Van Orman brothers, who were developing the hotel, went in partnership with McCurdy and others to build the hotel. His name was important, synonymous with success in the city, so it was a good idea to associate him with any project, including this one here in the city.
Okay. The Grand Rose Room was located on the top floor of the hotel and was the site of many events that were held in Evansville.
The Rose Room was up on the top floor of the hotel, and the Rose Room would have been the site of many of the elegant events that occurred in the city. The McCurdy was one of the major places for social functions throughout many years, so one can imagine that many of the visitors that stayed here had many of their functions in that area, whether it was Primo Carnera, the heavyweight champion of the world that stayed here at one point, or Evangelist Billy Sunday, or even President Richard Nixon, who stayed here. Certainly they would have been in the Rose Room and would have taken an opportunity to see that, that location during their visits.
There has been many prominent guests that stayed at the hotel over the years. Guests include a president, an actress, and a wrestler.
Yes, there are a number of prominent guests that stayed in the McCurdy Hotel, as it was the top hotel in the city. Again, Billy Sunday, the famous evangelist, stayed here. Primo Carnera, who's heavyweight champion of the world, stayed here. And the story is Claudette Colbert, who married a man from Richmond, Indiana. She was a future Academy Award-winning actress. She stayed here on her wedding night. And there are other famous actors and actresses that stayed here for a period of time. Richard Nixon stayed here when he was campaigning, and Warren Harding appeared here when he was campaigning for the presidency back in 1920. So any number of people stayed here, as it was the top-rate hotel here in Evansville.
The hotel fell into bankruptcy and closed, and after that it has been used for various things.
Most discussions that have been had are turning into luxury apartments, luxury condominiums that people can live in, which I think would be a great reuse. People, again, be living in the building as they did before, although for longer periods of time, but it certainly would bring back some of the glamour of the hotel. So hopefully that can happen. I know the financing that people are trying to put together is difficult, but hopefully it again can become living quarters for people here in the city, and we return to the grandeur that it once had. Because on the pier, there are not a lot of buildings of its quality that are still around, so it'd be certainly a shame to lose it. We hopefully it will again be put to very good use here in Evansville.
The Hotel McCurdy has a lot of history that is important to the history of the city of Evansville.
I think the McCurdy was interesting because it was a big deal when it was built and completed. The rooms had hot and cold running water, which today we take for granted, but it was a big deal to have that. A toilet in every room. They had circulating drinking water in every room, and they also had a miniature golf course. Actually, the one out in front of us was a Tom Thumb miniature golf course. And it had a barber shop, it had all kinds of restaurants beyond the Rose Room, and so it was built to be a first-rate, top-rate hotel. It had a soda fountain and a pharmacy. It was meant to meet the needs of visitors, particularly those that were coming here for conventions. A lot of conventions were held here. When it initially opened, it was meant to be the convention hotel for the newly opened Soldiers and Sailors Coliseum down near the old courthouse, so people could stay here and conventions could be held there. But they also had trade shows here in McCurdy. During 1937, the American Red Cross operated a lot of their flood relief out of the McCurdy Hotel, so it was instrumental during that big effort here in the city. During World War II, the Evansville shipyard, which built the LST ships, the big landing ships, they initially opened their offices here in the McCurdy while they were constructing the shipyard site. So it was a hotel that also touched upon a lot of important moments in Evansville's history during his lifetime.
Hotel McCurdy is an important part of the history of Evansville. Many famous people stayed there during their visits to Evansville, and many events were held there. I would like to thank Tom Longberg for all his help.